Hi everybody, it's Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus from Threshold of Hineni, and I'm going to play right now. I have things that I need to work on. I'm working on a design team journal that I'm almost finished with. Oops, it goes this way. I'm almost finished with, and I need to do a few more videos on that, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I have a journal that I'm working on for my dad for Father's Day that I need to work on, but I'm not going to work on that right now. And I have some journaling that I need to do before I record another class for my Abraham class, but I'm not going to do that now either. What I do each night is, like, for the last hour or so before Bill comes home, I spend private time with my sewing machine and I just craft. And I wanted to do a little bit more of that tonight, so I thought, well, if I turn on the camera, then it doesn't count as playing quite so much, right? So I want to show you some new toys that I got. I'm so excited. Okay, so we were up at our house yesterday, and at our house in the mountains, and I found these note cards that I've had like forever, and I was surprised when I opened up the box and there were still some of the note cards there. These will be awesome in journals, and this is just like the coolest box. So pretty, and then it's got a magnetic thing. So I was really excited to find that. And I also found this notepad that says, "Yours, O Lord, is the glory and majesty and splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours." 1 Chronicles 29:11. And doesn't that look like that would be really pretty in a junk journal? So I'm going to use that. And then Bill had these great stamps here that I thought were really cool. I'm probably going to use those in my dad's journal, so let me put those with that so they don't get separated. And then in the mail yesterday, I got two things. I'm going to show you one right now, and then I'll show you the other one, and we'll play with it. So this was like $5 or $5.99. Lindsay Zener from Nevermore suggested it on her Facebook page, and I'll try to remember to link the Facebook page below. But there's 100 different charms here of all different sizes. Some of them are really teeny tiny, like that one, and others are a little bit bigger, you know, like this. None of them are really big, and they're lightweight, but they're definitely metal, so they have some, you know, heft to them. So they're really cool. And I used one on my dad's journal. See right here, the little star that's just kind of hanging. So I used that on there. So they're really fun. And then the other thing that I got, I have been wanting for a long time. I'm so excited. So I got this envelope punch. Okay, now I didn't really want an envelope punch. I wanted something to punch curves on corners. And I looked at those, and they're $9.99. Just to punch the curve on a corner, that's just kind of silly. And then also on pockets, you know how it just looks nicer and it's easier to use if you have a thumb hole? I wanted something that would do that. And those are also $9.99. And it's just silly. Well, this does both of those things, plus it makes envelopes. I mean, what could be cooler, right? I am so cheap. So last night, while I was talking to Bill, I made envelopes. I haven't glued these yet. But see, this is from a magazine page. I mean, if you send this in the mail, you're going to have to use a label or something. But it'd be cool in a junk journal, don't you think? Isn't that cool? This is an ad for something. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's an article about junk food. It was from Men's Health. And then this Train Like Hellboy was a page that I pulled out. And see, look, it nicely rounds the corners. And when when you cut the envelopes, that's how it comes out. And it's scored and everything. I'll show you. I'll make some because I want to make a few more because I'm really having fun with this. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I'll use them in journals. And then I made some, at least some of these will be for my dad's journal, but I'm making some journals for graduation gifts. I know it's a little late. That use these colors too, so those would also be good. And I haven't glued these together yet either, and some of them I might not glue together. I might just like glue them into the journal, but have it so you can open up like that and journal on it. I don't know, we will see. But these are papers that I had printed on my printer, The outside of all of these, I think, are from Pixel Scrapper. I'll try to remember to, if I don't link something that you want me to link in the description box, just remind me in the comments and I will link it. Pixel Scrapper is really neat. You can join and have unlimited downloads, or you can have 5 free downloads a day, you know, without paying anything, which is really nice. I really want to join at some point. We just don't have the money right now, but eventually we will. So the outsides are from those, and then the insides, probably just from, yeah, these are just like plain blue. So I probably just made the page blue or something. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I just printed up some papers, and then I cut these all of these envelopes were 7 by 7 pieces of paper, but depending on where you score it, you're going to come up with a different dimensions for the envelopes. And these were 7 by 7 also, or 7 1/4, I think. So I'm going to do a couple more of those because I just want to do them because I'm having fun playing, and I thought you might enjoy seeing this. And I'll put a link for this down below too. So I have some paper, and I haven't looked through these yet, but one of the journals that I'm making for a graduation present is from the paper in this pad mostly. So I thought that I would look in here. This is cardstock at the beginning, but I thought I'd look in here and see what I can find that would be fun for an envelope. Ooh, this could be really cool. Okay, so that'd be good. Now these are white on the inside, but that's okay for an envelope, and I can always use distressing ink or something. You know, and I could use just the plain green and then do more to decorate it. I mean, because I'll probably decorate any of the envelopes that I make anyway. Oh, this would be kind of cool. I don't want to make too many because I don't want to bore you guys, but these are just like so much fun. And what else? Ooh, polka dots are kind of fun. I already have plaid. See, this is what's left over after I took out the stuff that I wanted for the journal. So it's like not my favorite things, but they're all really cool. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. It's like wood in the background. And sorry if my voice sounds froggy. I've been recording a lot of videos lately, and so my voice is really having a hard time. Okay, yeah, let's do something else too. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to get my cutting board, or whatever you call it here, and let's cut these. I'm going to do something other than 7 by 7, just for a change. Okay, so what you do, there's several different ways you can do it. You can look at what size card you want to be able to fit into the envelope here. Okay, and then that'll tell you what size paper you need, and then the score line, which we'll talk about later. Or, like my papers were 7 1/4, and so I looked on here to find, or 7 1/8, I guess it is. Some were 7 1/4 and some were 7 1/8. And so I looked on here to see what I could do with those. So these are 12 by 12 when I cut off this dotted line, which let's just do that first, because we don't need that dotted line. May as well just get rid of it. Now I don't throw the dotted line piece away, even though it's like, what is that, 1/4 of an inch? Because I can use it on Franken paper, right? Okay, so I put that in my little tub, my Franken paper tub. All right, and then, okay, so what do we have that's close to 12 by 12? There's nothing that's actually 12 by 12. Okay, so I don't think you can make anything that big on it, but there's 11 1/2 by 11 1/2. I don't really want to cut off 1/2 inch though. So let's cut one down to 9 1/4 by 9 1/4. And I'm sorry about my messy desk, but that's just how I roll. What do we say, 9 1/4? Okay, so 9 1/4 by 9 1/4. Boom. And that gives me a nice strip that I can use for something else, and I have some ideas for it. And then 9 1/4 here. And I did find with the envelope thing that you really don't have to be exactly that amount. You're, depending on how far off you are, your little these little cut things may come out a little funny, like this one here, I think. Yeah. See, like this, I need to cut this little extra part off because I hadn't measured exactly, but you know, it's going to work fine. So, okay. Those magazine pages were from Men's Health magazine. My son, I guess, subscribed to it at some point, and it's being sent here, and he told me just throw it away. So can I throw something away? I do junk journals. No, I can't throw it away. So I use the pieces for things. And so, but there's like really heavy cologne in there in these samples, and it's like everything smells like that. Okay, so this was 9 1/4 by 9 1/4. So we're going to score at, the writing is really small, 4 3/8. Okay, so we look on here. Okay, so where I found that out was here. Okay, so I chose 9 1/4 by 9 1/4, and then it says the score line is going to be at 4 3/8. So just remember that, 4 3/8. Okay, so, and here's the little score thing. Isn't that cute? And I can use this for folding stuff too, for making nice sharp edges. And there's a little place to put it. I love that. I love little places to put things. What did I say? 4 and, what was it? 4 3/8, I think. 4 3/8. Okay, so that means that we're going to put this, we only have to measure the very first one. Okay, and it's right here, 4 3/8, right here. Okay, so I'm going to punch, all right, and then I'm going to score, and the score line comes from here, and you can feel it with your scorer thing, but I find it easier to start over here at this corner where I can see it, and I just go like that, and then just, oops, I'm going to hold it still. Okay. It might be easier to do it from here on this paper. This, I guess, I don't know. It's thicker than the other paper I was using. Okay, and then just score along like that. Okay, and then you're going to turn it, and you don't have to measure anymore. You're going to line up, here's where the score line is, right there. You're going to line that score line up with this little thing that's sticking out there. Okay, so you just want to line it up perfectly with that, which is not hard. Punch it, and then you're going to score. And it's really easy to feel where you're supposed to score. Okay, and then you're going to line this one up with that. And, okay, so I've lined my little score line up, which you probably can't see because I can barely see it. I've lined it up with this thing here. Okay, and then I found the score line inside there, and I score it. Looks like this one's going to be a rectangle. I mean, you could, oops, I didn't punch this. You can tell by looking at the measurements, but I didn't look at the measurements of the card that it will fit. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to punch it. All right, and then line it up, punch it, and score it. Score right there. Oh, it's raining. Yay. Nice. Okay, so there we go. Right there, it's all scored. Isn't that cool? Okay, so then to make the envelope, it's so easy. Oh, maybe it is going to be a square envelope. Okay, so you're going to just fold it like so. Isn't that easy peasy? Oh my goodness. And that is very, very cute. Okay, so I actually want to bring this one out. Side there. Okay, I kind of like fold it and then decide where I want the top to be. Okay, so I like these coffee cups kind of facing up, so that it's going to be like this. This is a nice big envelope. Yeah, and then these coffee cups are right side up. Yeah. Okay, So then for this part here, to round it, you take it on the other side right here and you stick it in and boom, there you are, it's rounded. Now it doesn't have anything to catch the little pieces that it punches out, so you do end up with little pieces of paper here that aren't really big enough for Franken paper, so they go in the trash. So that's just fun. And that's going to be in, I'm just going to stick that into the journal after I make it. Okay, so this is inches. It's 5 3/4 inches, and I'm assuming that's square. Oh no, 5 3/4 by 6 1/4. So it's not quite square. So that's really cool. Very cute. Okay, now I want to do some that are different sizes, because that's a little on the large side for a junk journal. All right, what's another, where did I put it? Oh my gosh, you guys, seriously, I would lose my head. Okay, let's make one that's a little bit smaller. That was 9 1/4. So let's go for, let's look now, this time let's look at the card size, because that's what, it's going to be an 1/8 inch margin on all sides, it says. So figure a 1/4 inch bigger. So if I said 4 by 6 or 4 by 8 is the size card that I want, then the envelope's going to be 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. Okay, and my journal pages are 5 1/2 by 8. Okay, so we don't want it to be quite that big. So we want, let's go for 4 by 4. That's a good size. Okay, so then our paper needs to be 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. Or how about if we do 6 by 6, because this is, the paper is 12 by 12. Okay, so let's do 6 by 6, and then our finished envelope will be 4 3/4. No, it'll be 4 by 4. It'll be 4 by 4. So 6 by 6. So we're going to cut some paper to be 6 by 6. I don't really know what I'm doing, you guys. I'm just like learning. So, okay, 6 by 6. So that means we could make 4 envelopes from this piece of paper if we like that size. That is kind of small, a small envelope. It's going to be smaller than these ones, but I kind of think that's good. Okay, so, and let's do 4, because we don't have to use them all in the same journal. I like, you know, I can't remember now who it was, and probably a lot of people do this. Maybe it was Gail Augustinelli that was saying that whenever she makes things for journals, she tries to make, if she needs 1, she makes 2, and that way she's got extra that are ready for future journals, and I think that that is such a great idea. Okay, and by the way, my camera has a tendency to shut off at some point, and then it just continues recording, so I don't even know that it's gone off. So if it does that, there will be a part B, just so that you know. Okay, so these are 6 inches, 6 by 6. So, and there might be like more than one that takes that size. Okay, so we're looking here for 6 by 6. That's the only one that I see that does 6 by 6. Okay, so 6 by 6, and the score line is 3. Okay, so we're going to do the score line is 3. That's right here, and we only have to measure it for the first time. All right, we're going to punch it. Oh, this is going to be so cute. Punch it. See, and the thing is too, like I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I mean, and this is just because of my own taste, but it's made it very convenient. I tend to have like about 3 color schemes that I just use all the time. And so the nice thing is that if you make extras of something, they're gonna go in another journal that has that same color scheme, and it'll give you a little bit more variety. Okay, so I'm lining up that score line that I just made, and I'm punching it. Oh, it's so much easier with small ones than it is with big ones. So if you get this, start out with some small envelopes, okay, because this is like a lot easier. Okay, and sometimes the paper gets a little turned up or something. I don't know exactly why. And so it's hard to get in there. So you just put it in over here and just slide it along and it'll go to the right place. Line it up with your score line, which I know you guys can't see. I don't know if you can see it if I get it closer. See, there's the score line right there. And I've lined it up with this little thing that sticks out. Okay, so there we go. Is that fen or wet? Okay, now I did end up going over to this, but I think that some of these are a little bit not quite 6 by 6 exactly. All right, so let's see what shape we're getting with this. Okay, so this is a rectangle. So we could go this way and be like a tall envelope, which is always kind of fun, or it could be an envelope like this. And I'm not going to decide right now. Okay, so see how this part here sticks up? All I do is I just go in there, I go, okay, I just need to cut it like right there. And I just cut it straight across. And I've seen other people who do the rounded corner thing here. So that's fine. Okay, so that's another envelope down. So let's do another. Okay, so it was 3. The score line was 3. There we go. So I'm teaching a class right now on Abraham, which if you want to join, you can. It's, you know, you don't have to do it at the same time I am. If you're watching this 2 years later, I'm planning on leaving it up for a couple years. So it'll still be there, and you can work through it at your own rate. I have an optional tutorial series for making a junk journal for the class, but you don't have to have a junk journal for the class. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up is not to get you to join, but because I realized something really cool. So one of the things that I'm having people do for that is keep a journal, whether it's a junk journal or another journal, doesn't matter. And we had talked about altars because, you know, Abraham built altars at various points. And so, see, and I think on this one here, I would even trim this part off so that it's not sticking out below where this thing comes. I mean, it's not going to show, but it's just my own personal taste. So we were talking about altars, and I was telling people, you know, I was challenging them as an assignment, actually, to come up with their own altar, which what I'm talking about when I say altar isn't like, you know, a pile of stones or you know, like a table with candles or anything like that. It's just like the purpose of an altar that we were talking about, and there can be lots of purposes. The purpose that we were talking about is, oh, I didn't score this, that's what's wrong, is that you have a place to memorialize a commitment that you make to God. And so it's a place to worship, it's a place to memorialize that commitment when you first make it, and it's a place to come back to remember that commitment, kind of like to return to your first love, like Jesus says in Revelation chapter 2, I think. And you know, so I challenged people to find it, and like, you know, for me, my altars have been different at different times in my life. Like at one point I bought some shawls, pashminas, at a hotel that I was at when I was speaking in LA. And I used those as kind of what I call prayer shawls, though they didn't have the same purpose as, you know, like a Jewish prayer shawl. But it was just, for me, it was something that I put on when I just wanted to focus on prayer and worship. It just kind of put me into that mood. And it was, you know, like a psychological thing, I guess, but that just works really well. And so, you know, whenever I put on one of those pashminas, and I had different names for different ones of them, depending on what my need was at that time. Like one I called Holy Spirit, Help, and another one was called Thanksgiving, and another one was His Beloved, because I was just really struggling with self-image and feeling worthless and not feeling like God should love me. That's a whole story for another time. But and if you want me to tell you that, then let me know, because I forget to do these. But if you tell me you want to hear something, then I'll make sure I do. So, anyway, yeah, so whenever I'd put on one of those shawls, it's just like it just put me into that particular mood of worship and prayer and focusing on that particular thing, like the fact that I was God's beloved or something. Anyway, so that's kind of what I had suggested. Look for something that will do that for you. Maybe it's something that you wear, maybe it's a place, maybe it's a time of day, whatever it is. Well, anyway, as I was writing down the instructions for the assignment, I realized that a journal is a perfect altar because, of course, that's where you're, after you've worshiped. I mean, not that you would worship so much in your journal, though you could. You could write your worship to the Lord, but I like to worship by singing and stuff. But it's like, so I'm in that worshipful mood, and I sit down to my journal after worshiping God, which is the perfect time to be really open to Him in praying my heart and in listening to Him and being receptive to Him. Okay, so I'm going to stop doing this for now, and I'm going to put these in here because I'm going to work on something else. What was I saying? Oh, the journal. So because, we work on the journal let me start over. So if I'm going to use a journal as an altar, then it's, as I'm journaling, that's usually when God speaks to me or during worship time. And so my private worship, I'm not talking about worship in church, although God speaks to me in worship at church too, but I'm talking specifically, this is franken paper that I've just sewn together from pieces and scraps that are left over from stuff. But when you're journaling, that's oftentimes the time that God will speak to you, and that, He calls you to something. And so it's a really good time to, what am I saying here? I'm having a hard time figuring out what I want to cut. It's a really good time to write down that commitment, and that's a good place to do that. And then, you've got it written down, so it's a place to come back to when you need to return to that first love and reaffirm that commitment and everything. And it's also, a place to write down the vision that God gives you of how to fulfill that commitment. So it's just, it fits all of the characteristics of, see, that's a flat edge, so I want to put that up against this. It fulfills all the characteristics of an altar. And so I don't know, for some reason this probably sounds kind of boring, and you're going, yeah, so to me it was just a really exciting revelation, I guess. I'm not sure it's really a revelation, but for me it was a revelation. It was just really exciting because it wasn't something I had thought of before, of my journal being an altar. And it makes me really take that a lot more seriously, take my journaling practice a lot more seriously, because, I always have known that it's part of my spiritual discipline, but it's, I don't know, it's like it's almost more sacred now to me. So anyway, I just thought I would mention that because I don't know, for some reason this year, for me personally, God's just kind of made the theme for me as far as my own personal spiritual journey and also my ministry. He's just kind of made the theme journals this year, and that's how I learned about junk journals, was because of working on that. And oops, I need to sew that. And well, actually, the way that I found out about junk journals was because I had published a journal this year, for, a journal that people could use for like a spiritual journal. I published that on Amazon, and it's still there, and it's good, but when I was looking, I had done a flip through kind of thing on YouTube to show, how to use it and stuff, actually a series, I think. And I just wanted to see like where that came up on YouTube, like, can anybody find it, or is it going to be really hard to find? And which is always a good idea to test stuff out like that. And in the process, I saw videos for junk journals, and I thought, what on earth is a junk journal? That sounds awful. Well, the first one that I saw, I just fell in love with it. And it was like, oh my goodness, I could see how these could be used so well for spiritual journaling. It's just like really, really cool. Okay, now what do I want to be the top? What do I want to be the bottom? What do I want to show? That, I think. And so, yeah, so it was just, so I fell in love with junk journals, and that was like late December of this last year. And so ever since then, I've been obsessed, completely obsessed with junk journals. And then, with the Abraham course, I just really felt like journaling needed to be a part of it. And it's just like I realized at one point that that's just kind of the theme for this year for me, for myself personally, and also for ministry wise, and so I guess I just want to share with people different ways that they can use journals spiritually and how those can really help you to grow spiritually and everything. Okay, I just want to even up the edges on these. And the pieces that I'm cutting off, maybe not these ones because they're going to be really thin, but the pieces I've been cutting off from this, I just stick back into my scrap bin. So even though there's pieces sewn together, it will be great for Frankenpaper, for adding to my Frankenpaper when I make it. I usually make Frankenpaper after I finish a journal. I take all the scraps that I've saved from making that journal and make it into a big old piece of Frankenpaper, which is why I had this piece, because I had made this from a previous